Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Bell Tower boy from Perth, Western Australia, far from home in a secret location. But I'll give you a guess where it is. Hello, Iran!
G'day, mate!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk geopolitics. This is going to be a big video, possibly a long one. We got to talk the central role of Iran and what exactly is going to happen with Iran, the history of Iran post-1979 and the revolution.
Hey, it's Brendan O'Connell, the Bell Tower boy, reporting from Tehran, Iran. I'm in the air, this is Brendan O'Connell, the Bell Tower boy, in Tehran, the head of the funeral procession for former President Mr. Rafsanjani. It's Brendan O'Connell, the Bell Tower boy, beating my local West Australian rag to the scoop. I'm reporting live from Tehran, the northern suburb of Tadrish, home of the famous bazaars and shopping district of Tehran. Well, we're off up into the ski fields of Tehran. Today is the 15th of January, it's Sunday, and we're away. These are some of the best ski fields in the world.
Onky dancing, Dad. Persian style. Persian style. Ah! Mohammed, wow! My goodness! Ah!
Where the Ayatollah comes out of a Paris commune with his German intelligence friends, the German jihad and the history of that, fighting with the British, which is why you see movies like Kingsman.
Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses.
While governments wait for orders, our people take action.
All of this is being played out today, and we need to talk about the new road that'll go from India all the way up into Gaza, hence why Trump is redeveloping Gaza.
A lot of countries having a lot of meetings about their own proposed trade routes. The US government is backing the IMEC, which would connect India to Europe via rail, ship, and road, passing through Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Greece.
We got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about the multipolar world, as according to Marco Rubio on Megyn Kelly.
So it's not normal for the world to simply have a unipolar power. That was an anomaly. It was the product of the end of the Cold War. But eventually you were going to reach back to a point where you had a multipolar world, great powers in different parts of the planet. We face that now with China and to some extent, Russia. And then you have rogue states like Iran and North Korea you have to deal with.
Thank you everyone for the links. And I appreciate the input to just how bad the online internet is. Before we even get into the details, I want to talk about something primarily talking about Trump. I use the term Trump loosely. The Trump administration is the Department of Defense administration. It's the FBI administration. It's the intelligence community administration. There is a lot of theater going on. Everything is under control. The Yale'ies, skull and bones boys, the old waspy elites are well and truly in charge. And what we're seeing is, of course, what? The battle for Eurasia. Okay. Who rules the world? This is fundamentally it. Do you want a bunch of inbred scumbags from Europe who want to crush the young scorpion? They want to crush the 1776 revolution, which said that you mattered as an individual, that said that your pursuit of happiness, doesn't it blow your stinking mind when you have a political document, see the microphones are right, I have a political document that says you have the right to pursue happiness, self-actualize, individuate, to be you. If I could get Americans and just punch you in the freaking face like this, get the message. You have a divine role to play in the world. The Holy Land is the United States. One day we'll have a holy planet. But right now that could be 1,000 years away, 500 years away. Right now, the US must be powerful and there must be an engaged citizenry because this new world order could be just as bad as the old. But I've seen very positive signs so far. But America, if you don't engage in politics, then there's going to be problems. And the old world order will just be the new world order with a fresh coat of paint on the White House. So, with all the shenanigans horsepucky, let me give you a narrative. As we all know, the bunting cloverleaf map, multipolar world order, as espoused previously, and you've seen in previous videos, the Ayatollah talking about the multipolar world order, Klaus Schwab talking about the multipolar world order.
Обе стороны проводят независимую и самостоятельную внешнюю политику. Мы солидарно работаем над формированием более справедливого и демократического многополярного мироустройства, которое должно опираться на центральную роль Организации Объединенных Наций.
And I have to say, when I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets.
Mr. President, we are keen to hear from your perspective and from that of Russia, how you see the situation developing in the third decade of the 21st century and what should be done to ensure that people everywhere find peace and prosperity. Mr. President, the world is waiting to hear from you.
Спасибо. Уважаемый господин Шваб, уважаемый господин Шваб.
Mr. Schwab, dear colleagues, dear Klaus, I've visited Davos many times, assisting meetings starting from the 90s. Mr. Schwab just mentioned that we met each other first back in 1992.
Freaking Vladimir Putin talking about the multipolar world order over and over again, whereby the Kissinger and Associates right-hand of Rothschild team would be breaking up the planet into 4 sections. That is off, completely off. This is a Cold War 2.0 unipolar world order, no matter what Marco Rubio says or Megyn Kelly. This is a Cold War, old school, post-1945, Cold War New World Order. Except this time, instead of the city of London, the old Hoofdjuden of Europe being in control, the old 13 families of Europe, all born to rule Brahmic masters, all right? The worldwide kibbutzim, instead of them, it's going to be controlled in a unipolar way from the United States. You're going to see things like the Bank of International Settlements brought into the United States. You're going to see things like the Fed to be nationalized and placed under the control of the executive and Congress. Worldwide, you're going to be seeing the large-scale incorporation of companies exclusively in the United States and transnational corporations brought to heel. No matter what you're seeing about Trump's removing this rule and that rule and all that stuff, beyond all the flim-flam and fluff that's going on, you're going to see changes like you will not believe. But no one can relax. No one can go, well, whew, it's all under control. I'll sit back, send $10 a month to O'Connell and it'll all be fine. There are obviously people working. There's obviously a political class, and many of you, even if you're not doing political things directly, you're part of that. You think politically, you're engaged politically, you're even willing to give $10 a month. And I don't even sell dick pills or booby enlargement pills. But until we get to grasp this simple point, the battle for Eurasia, and there's only Bannon, it's the only high-level person I've ever heard talk about it, or Anthony Scaramucci, the Mooch even talked about it. It's a miracle. Slowly getting on. This is the battle for the world island. This is the battle for the planet. And post-World War II, it should have been the US there, but they didn't. They had all their Council on Foreign Relations people, Trilateral Commission, Rockefeller Foundation, Carnegie Atlantic Council, all those little scumbags, all those little European-based operations brought all these cultured Europeans to come and tell the colonials how to run things with Heinz and his friends. From, the Frankfurt School, which was worldwide socialism, which was what? The funding of communism, the funding of dictators, the funding of theocracies, the funding of pretend two-party systems. To bring the world then into a one world order under a planetary kibbutzim. You don't know what a kibbutz is? Go and look it up. But to be fair, to be Jews and Israelites worldwide, a kibbutz is no different to what Jesus commanded of his followers, which was to own all things in common, to take no money with them. And, it is easier for a rich man, a rope to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. So let's give it a fair whack. The kibbutzim is actually kind of commanded by Christ. But anyway, I'm a grown adult and I have a divine connection with the Godhead too, as do you if you care to listen. And he says, Brendan, maybe one day, but you know what? For now, I like my drone. I like my laptop. This phone is my phone. It's not your phone. This phone is my phone. It is not your phone. Okay, so sticky kibbutz up your ass. Would I like a commune sort of thing where, everyone shares if you're a bit short on sugar? Love it. It's called community. We used to have it, remember? Maybe we'll get it again. But let me tell you the big secret. You ready for the big secret? Here's the big secret. Everything you see, bunting cloverleaf map, the Silk Road and Israel's central role. Remember Israel as a regional power? Do you remember when I put that in that video from 2020? Okay, go and watch that video. That's from 2020, 5 years ago, March. I just arrived in Tequiscupan in the state of Querétaro. I was in Hotel Rinconada, and I had my Zoom mic and I had a doona over my head. It was 3 in the morning. I'd woken up at 2 with what do you call it? You know, flight. What do you call it? Insomnia, jet lag. And I started recording it then. That is a defining video where I said you need to invade Israel. That's what's going on. Why? Why? What is the core to all this besides the battle for Eurasia and who rules the world? Data, 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 and AI. I beg you. When they say data is the new oil, it's not a joke, all right? Data is the new oil. And I'll explain Iran, what's happening in Russia, what's happening with China. And I beg you, if you want to understand what's going on, AI is not a joke. It is not a fad. It is not going away. And the US has said openly they are going to rule it. And they've even said we need public discourse on the dangers of this new technology, which I even talked about in that same video back in 2020. We need to understand everything. When I say everything, I mean I want to grab the camera and smash my head into you and tell you everything revolves around AI. And I mean everything. Everything is revolving around this new technology and access to data. So they're going to set up Russia. Putin is a bitch now. He works directly for Skull and Bones boys. Xi, or whoever replaces him possibly in the next 6 to 12 months, is a little bitch, and he will be working for Skull and Bones boys, Fred Smith and the likes, all right? Good white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Good lads. Masturbated in the coffin, haven't we all? But at least they're not out to destroy the United States. That's a fact. Otherwise, I'd be dead, wouldn't I? So clearly, there's something going on outside of your realm, which is all-encompassing conspiracies where they're all the same, everyone's the same, everyone's out to get each other. And I think you need to appreciate that the men and women of the intelligence community, of the military, at the Pentagon and the FBI have children too. Burn that into your brain. They have children too. They have to live here as well. Tap on wood. If I want to headbutt you and get it into your head. Data is the new AI. So with data as the new AI, you're going to need to control all sorts of things. So a big chunk of China will be controlled, and that'll control all of Asia, and Xi will be collecting the data for US companies. Up here, with the stabilization with Russia threatening Europe, that will all be stabilized. Europe will be dragged kicking and screaming, and it too will hand over the data, or it will collapse economically, just like Canada will be a state of America within 3 years. Do you remember months ago I said that Canada would be invaded or needed to be invaded? Okay, understand. Canada doesn't have a choice. That's why Trudeau's saying, no, he means it, he means it. He knows he means it. There's nowhere for the pedos to run and the whack jobs. So, but remember that Sweden, Finland, Poland, a lot of the old Eastern Bloc, they're all in. France is in, but only because it's been forced in and doesn't have a choice, and it's been told it can always beat up Germany, its ancient foe. But everything's getting under control. There's still a bit of resistance, understandably. The Germans are still pissed, and I understand. I feel very bad for the Germans. They've suffered enough guilt. But now we're going to go down into here. When they're going to join all the way over from India, they're going to run it up through Iran. Currently, they're going through United Arab Emirates, up through Saudi, and up into Israel, across a land bridge. But they want to go through here, through Pakistan, through Iran, through Iraq, over into Gaza, where there's going to be a giant US base and a brand new marina. Know what I mean? The audacious plan to build an island from the ruins of Gaza. I know when I saw it, I thought, oh, please, no. Seriously? Yeah, seriously. So let's have a look now, shall we? Just a quick watch.
The war in Gaza is on pause, but the war on rubble is about to begin. Israel's bombardment reduced the Gaza Strip to an estimated 50 million tons of rubble. And before houses can even be reimagined, let alone rebuilt, the debris must be cleared. The issue that everyone is avoiding is where to put it.
One of the options to deal with rebels in Gaza Strip is
Unbelievable.
put it in the sea.
This United Nations map shows how much of Gaza is covered by rubble. And as you can see, there are only small pockets of land untouched. The UN estimates that 70% of buildings in the strip have been either destroyed or damaged. And that leaves an estimated 50 million tons of rubble in Gaza, spread across the region, with high concentrations around Gaza City, Khan Yunis and Rafah. The United Nations predicted that with 105 trucks, it would take 21 years and $970 million to clear it. And it's not just a question of just coming in and taking the debris away.
It is dangerous. There is some unexploded.
Okay, you get the point. I take you get the point. This is what's coming. It's going to be, it's what Trump, everyone thinks Trump's just, oh, he's just some nut. He's got his script and he's delivering it beautifully. People think he's joking. He's not joking about Canada. Greenland's going to be a part. Canada will be a state. Canada doesn't have a choice. Once the handouts from the US stop, Canada collapses. And when I say collapses, I mean instantly. So that's what Trudeau knows. Now, how exactly it will transpire, that's anyone's guess. But this guy, Depressed Ginger, has something to say. This could force Alberta and others to leave Canada and join the US. However it transpires, Canada will be a state. Whatever exact form takes place. You're going to see changes over the next 20 years that'll blow your mind. Blow your mind. Over here, this is Mundra Port in India serves as alternative route for Israel amid Red Sea threats. And it's just about that, what I talked about, that line over on the map. So there's a central role, obviously, for Iran, because there is Iran right in the middle of that. But it's not yet. Iran has its place to play. Remember, with Obama, you see Obama and Musk appearing in around 2008. Remember how Berge said it really got going in 2008? And I told you, 2008, when you had Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, which was a derivative of the NSA rubber hose that he was working on until they dumped him because of his radical views. Suddenly he's working for the Israelis and he's running around doing WikiLeaks. What's the first group that he does over? The British National Party. When Nick Griffin was asked, said, leave Jews and bankers alone, let's go after Islam. And he refused. Nick Griffin said in the interview, I refused to do it. Next minute, the mailing lists are out, he's getting harassed, and Tommy Robinson, Stephen Yaxley Lennon pops up over the next few years. A man who's standing on Israeli Defense Force tanks. Okay, I think we get the message of what WikiLeaks was for. Apart from 3 or 4 excellent little leaks, I must admit, Julian Assange knows all about Israel, yet he and Snowden have both said only conspiracy idiots carry on about 9/11. Really? Okay, there's your first clue with Snowden and Assange. I mean, they could drop us a bone, send us a bone, boys. Well, some very strange things happened on 9/11. I mean, Donald Trump's done more, 10 times more than those two, but those two are adamant. If you go on about 9/11 conspiracies, you're wasting the time. The rich are getting richer. Let's not talk about Israel. Snowden has literally said nothing about Israel. I mean, that's all you need to know. So in 2008, you see that defining year, and Berge said as at that stage they were bringing it in not only into Afghanistan and Iraq, they were bringing in interactive internet activities in a holistic, highly organized fashion, online psychological warfare, into the United States. That was a pivotal year. I remember that year. What happened? Obama gets in, ready for the next unroll. And remember, the Bush retards Council on Foreign Relations with Kissinger. Okay, they've done the dirty business, 9/11, which was meant to happen in 1988. Didn't happen. That's another story. Then you see in December 2001, the admission of what? The admission of China into the World Trade Organization. I did that in that video, A Family Civil War. It's an excellent video. So in 2008, you now see Elon Musk pops up and he's being pushed by Robert Downey Jr. himself, who visits the Tesla factory and says, oh, he's a new Tony Stark, this genius, when he's obviously a retarded moron. I don't know who his mother is off. Sorry to be so crude, but she's off someone. She's obviously a higher level illuminist in there with her little photos she likes taking. But why you would get the guy from the South African Jewish Day School, I'm not really sure, but they did. It's a big drug money laundering operation as well, but they needed to build because they knew in the new multipolar world order they would need more things to invest in, particularly as they pushed into China. They would build up in America first, then push on into China. That's why they were building up Musk, and SpaceX was also a technology transfer, but they needed the money to flood in. They knew it would flood in, and they couldn't just add another trillion to Apple and Nvidia and all the rest, or at that stage probably Intel, not anymore Intel, but they needed another company. That's why they artificially created this genius Tesla and this genius SpaceX, which NASA could have done all by itself, but you know, that's another story. This is the technology transfer. Remember, governments are terrible. We have to privatize it out to geniuses who aren't geniuses, clearly, and then charge 5 times as much into the private sector, and then we can steal the technology a lot easier from a private company, because that's the scam, as Bill Binney told us about the NSA and Michael Hayden and friends subcontracting out to all their friends. Plenty of money for everyone, Bill Binney said. It's outrageous. It should be shot. Literally executed. So that 2008 pivotal year where we moved from 2008 to 2016 and you got Obama hanging out with Musk. Who was Obama closest to? Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger. So, and what did they say about they even had books written about Obama and the multipolar world order, that he was the least interventionist president as he withdrew back into the United States. You see the process, and Trump was the icing on the cake. He was going to finish the job, apply the coup de grace to the United States. That didn't happen. Skull and Bones boys, Mattis, Pompeo, were the figureheads out the front, the poster boys who got the US administration of Trump under control. Now you see the flow through, and it stopped with Trump. Trump got his new script, which he was happy to deliver. He was going to be the village idiot to take all the flack. All right, then Jared Kushner was going to come in 2028 with Ivanka, the New York liberals, and Chabad, and they were going to come in, and then they were going to administer the virus. That was ready for Agenda 2030. Then the virus was due. What happened? They panicked. The script was off. Klaus started panicking. Heinz started panicking. Everyone was panicking. What happened? They released the virus. 2020, 2019, in fact, 2019, 2020, and it was all off. That was it. The war was on. Now we're seeing the rubble of Gaza and the rubble of their multipolar new world order. That's what we're seeing. Once that happened, Tesla was finished. SpaceX was finished. Tesla was finished. All right. There was no, as everyone had to back off from China, they are going to re-engage. So there might be some life in Tesla yet in a few years. Might hit $20, $30 a share. Definitely worth a buy up when they re-engage with China. But you see the flowing through. 2008, multipolar world order, Obama withdrawing. Trump was meant to be the flow. Then it stopped there. You were a part of that. I was a part of that. And you were a part of that. Give yourself a golf clap. Just from ordinary people sharing links. Ordinary people, I think. I think they're mostly ordinary. Who knows? I don't know. I never met them. But we shared a bunch of links and voila. Now we see the fight. Not just for this multipolar world order, the new one that Marco Rubio is going to talk about in a minute. What we're seeing now, again, control of AI. It is everything now. And the US is just clamping down and taking control of everything. It's beautiful to watch. You're watching history and it's a wonderful thing. So you're going to see, as we swoop in there in Israel and Jerusalem, you'll see Saudi and the UAE, and you're going to see the build-up of these high-tech companies. It's all going to be US controlled and run. All of it. You're already seeing Taiwan panicking, and they're saying that they've already got a brain drain over here in Taiwan. They got a brain drain as all the Taiwan semiconductor people start moving to the United States. That'll be finished off with a blockade. They're going to have a blockade, and then we'll see the fallout of how many more military are gotten rid of. Again, Russia's the greatest threat to Vladimir Putin is now an asset of Skull and Bones boys. He was an asset of Kissinger and Associates in the City of London and Gerhard Schroeder and the boys, 13 Families of Europe. Now he works for the US. His greatest threat, the Russian military. They've all been taken out. All the generals are dead and gone, totally eviscerated. Officer Corps eviscerated. A lot of the male excess population have been killed off or severely injured. Beautiful. His FSB is strong. His generals in his FSB and his interior security apparatus. He's now under control. He will control the oligarchs' banks. He will control the bank accounts. Control the bank accounts. He control the military, the generals, and the oligarchs and the FSB. He's under control. Thank you. He will threaten Europe and keep the European general population on their toes. Remember, the leaders are all in the bag. Don't worry about that. They're all in the bag. It's about local population perception. That will keep everyone busy. I'm sorry, that's the War Powers Act. Until we come up with space exploration in this new world order that's coming up, until that happens, we'll be at perpetual war. I'm sorry, but at least it'll be a Cold War. And of course, you're going to see down here, which was the pivot point, the Bunting Cloverleaf map and Israel and data collection. It's all about data collection. So they'll have Europe set up for data collection. They'll have to be slapped around a bit to hand it over, but they will hand it over. Sweden's on board, Norway, Finland, all the Baltic states love America. Poland adores America. Trust me, Poles know all about one side and getting squeezed between two great powers. Slovakia, Hungary, Serbia. Look, everyone's there. Serbia is not very fond of the US at the moment, but Serbia's got their own problems at the moment. They will learn to love Romania, of course. Huge bases in Romania. Big bases up there in Lithuania and Latvia and Estonia. It's all good. And that's really it. Getting the data. That's the next big thing for the AI, material sciences, and you're going to see a rapidly escalating, and I mean rapidly escalating AI. Don't think it's a fad. It's a fad. Oh, it ain't no fad. You haven't seen it yet. The retail outlets are crap, all right? You got to pay at least 200 USD a month. We're going to experiment with that, me and a couple of other people, and just see how good or it isn't. I'm going to write a book using the $200 a month and see what I can come up with. But when you start paying for 20 grand a month, we're obviously not doing that, if only, then you start getting into the real deep stuff. But what has the government got? Once you understand the AI at that top levels and their massive databases they have, you don't get it. You combine that with the quantum computing, you're now at another level you can't possibly comprehend. Material science, crazy new stuff's going to start coming out. All the repressed technology is going to come out. All the candy's going to flow. No one can relax. We can't relax and let them just do what they're going to do. But right now you see a fallout. So this is a fallout. Look, even Australia's kicking up. The Crown Colonies. The Crown Colonies are going to get a slap. Big time. That includes you, Canada. And you're just going to see all about the collection of data. That's it. It's really all it's about. Data collection now. Who dominates AI dominates. And that's going to be the United States. What did Marco Rubio have to say? What Rubio said about multipolarity should get more attention. The newly minted Secretary of State undermined the basis of primacy. No, he didn't. Let's have a quick listen to what he said with Megyn Kelly.
Things that are terrible that impact our national interest directly. And we need to prioritize those again. So it's not normal for the world to simply have a unipolar power. That was an anomaly. It was the product of the end of the Cold War. And there are terrible things happening in the world. There are. And then there are things that are terrible that impact our national interest directly. And we need to prioritize those again. So it's not normal for the world to simply have a unipolar power. That was an anomaly. It was the product of the end of the Cold War. But eventually you were going to reach back to a point where you had a multipolar world, great powers in different parts of the planet. We face that now with China and to some extent, Russia. And then you have rogue states like Iran and North Korea you have to deal with.
You have to deal with. Now, we've said it 1,000 times. I'll tell you this again. There is but one state, America. I'll say it again. The US cuts China off from technology. Like they said, they've got a new UAV high-tech machine. It's just bullshit, all right? I can't say it enough. Russia can't make a television. It was literally cannibalizing German washing machines to get their industrial controller chips to make their missiles work. They had to get them out of washing machines. The little chips that turn things on and off rapidly. It's not a joke. Then Kissinger sent them $400 million worth. And did you see Rubio had to come out publicly and say, oh, we will not rearm Russia. Fancy that. And yes, they will rearm Russia. Of course they will. But they'll do it through proxies, probably Israel. Israel will be prepped for that. Nothing moves without US permission. The SWIFT, it's absurd to think, oh, there's all these different countries vying. They're not vying for anything. They're doing what they're damn well told, because now the US is pushing its power for the first time in its life. It's never been allowed. Post-World War II, its arms were tied behind its back. You know, Eisenhower was playing golf. Patton had been killed, and he definitely was killed. He was finally assassinated. MacArthur was fired by Truman because he didn't cooperate with the UN, because MacArthur wanted to win the war and America would be powerful. You had the whole Silvermaster spy ring scum and that horrible, horrible, horrible movie they made with that absolute traitor, Oppenheimer. And they said, well, yeah, he was a communist, but he was a nice guy. That's literally what the movie is saying, as they gave the hydrogen bomb and atom bomb secrets to the Soviet Union. That was to stop America becoming a primary unipolar power. That's why. That was the Kissinger, you know, realpolitik game of strategic balance. But that included the United States. All they had to do was stop giving the damn technology and the weapons and the multiple re-entry vehicles for nuclear weapons that the Clintons gave the damn Chinese, for crying out loud. By saying, oh, well, we need to give that to compensate for Russian power. It's just horsepucky. It's to give the impression that the US has competition. And then to keep them all stable, all control from City of London, all control from those European families, as they gutted the United States, gutted its industrial base. And you saw the games they played with the crisis actors and drag queen storytime garbage, trying to destroy entirely the US. Well, that's now being reversed. This is the first time unipolar power is being applied. No matter what marker, oh no, it's all multipolar. It will give the appearance of multipolar, all under the control of Skull and Bones boys. And when I say Skull and Bones, that is a generic term for US elite power. True believers, whether you believe it or not. You need to get on board. Stop letting the likes of a Whitney Webb point out a train with Peter Thiel, a nobody. Peter Thiel's a nobody. And saying, look over there, there's the Auschwitz train. And I have to look up and say, no, we're on the Auschwitz train. It says right there, Auschwitz, and we're on it. All right? Don't look over there and say, there's our future. No, you're on it now. Right now. So what you need to do is get control of the train, which of course the likes of a Whitney Webb and a James Corbett and the Alex Joneses of the world are never going to tell you. They're going to tell you to sit there, cheer for a team and say how horrible it all is. That's their job. And you've heard these terms, multipolar world order, bunting cloverleaf map. These will come more into use over time. And just remember who told you first. Why? Because I'm a genius? No, someone sent me an email, I think it was Bridget, and said, oh, look, here's the multipolar world order, here's bunting cloverleaf map. I went, oh, that ties in with everything. Thanks for that. Voila, what a genius I am. Not a genius. I'm a one-eyed man with poor vision, but the internet is blind, so I look like I'm the king because it's so bad. I'm about practical solutions. You know, all those times you contacted me and said, Brendan, I know you're busy. I wasn't busy. I was lying on my bed staring at the ceiling going, how do I approach this? Nothing's working. I'm just getting so flustered, so angry. God's got me here. What does God want? God wants me to get real, stop being so negative, belligerent, and thinking everyone is against you and everything is bad and there's no hope. Stop that mindset. Everything in a cold-hearted Kissingerist look is going wonderfully. You couldn't ask for better. It's going wonderfully. I don't know about in Gaza, but generally it's wonderful. Now you understand why Trump's talking about the redevelopment of Gaza. They're going to have a giant US base there. And eventually Israel will be a secular state. And the vast majority of the population, 60, 70%, will be eternally grateful. They don't want to be subjects of Russia or China or anyone else. Getting back to Gaza, ousted to Africa. Palestinians could be ousted to Sudan, Somalia, from Gaza. No, that's a lie. It'll be the Sinai Peninsula, of course. It's already organized. It's just about local populations, manufacturing narratives and getting things in place. Have you seen the spicy pumpkin lattes? How they're going for you? Are they working out? No. Now they're back. Oh, there's a peace deal. There's no peace deal. The Palestinians will be gone from Gaza. They'll keep a select few, they've psychologically profiled, and they'll probably keep them there. I don't know the exact, but it's done, all right? Your spicy pumpkin lattes, you're all conned, you're all talking about the UN human rights and nobody gives a shit. You had to talk power and you had to talk about how to get US elites into there to force a single state, capital of Jerusalem, ancient Israelites, secular state. That's what you needed. Now, Iran, of course. Finally, Iran will get this message too. Look, we've already seen it when Trump talks about how terrified they were of him. Could you please stop? I was there. All right? Iran is pro-America, actually it's pro-Europe, very pro-Europe, and they worship, I mean, they literally worship Germany and Hitler. They worship Hitler. But they don't believe any gassings of any Jews occurred. A few bad things happened. That was unfortunate. That was war. But they just don't believe any of it. All right, they worship Germany and Switzerland. They really do. And Sweden. They like Europeans. It's now time for Trump to get in there, and he will get in there and bring the Iranian people into the arms of the United States, as it should be, as it will be, because that Iran, as we can see here, you only have to take one good look and see the central role of Iran. And I was down here in Isfahan. Can we find Isfahan?
Hey, I just love the mountains. Just been to a restaurant.
K-H-A-N-S-A-R, Hansa. Yeah, it's in Isfahan province. There it is. That's where I stayed. Beautiful Hansa. I was there in winter, but they said in the spring, it's just stunning. Absolutely stunning.
This time, Gisumi Shah Ahmadi will take you to Isfahan's Khansar, a city housing some 2,000 years worth of history.
Once upon a time, beyond the high mountains, there was a small town, famous for its honey, flower-filled gardens, and walnut orchards. Today, after 2,000 years, Khansar is still one of the most beautiful cities of Iran. With buttonwood trees lining the streets and stretching across the town, and mild weather that invites you out for a walk in the city, Khansar boasts its beauty thanks to the springs of the Zagros Mountains.
The honey they have there is amazing. All these sorts of sweets. Geez, they do love their sweets, them.
Well, how it is December the 26th, and it's my first news report from Hansa, Tehran, 500 kilometers south of Tehran.
So that was Hansa. That's where the foreign ministry used to live. A good old Zarif. There's Hansa. Oh, that's directly south almost of Tehran. So there's Tehran and there is Hansa. That's where I stayed. Stood up on the roof. Let's head up to the roof and do some panoramic views of Hansa. Two other cool. Oh, I hear that beautiful. It's at the mosque. Man, I nearly cry thinking about Iran. But you can see that central role that Iran has. Remember, the lawyer said, we'll be handling the stands. So all this area, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, all of that area there. That was going to be under the multipolar world order, Kissinger. Right, that's why they're all up there in Chatham House talking about the multipolar world order, including the Ayatollah, for crying out loud. So you've got the Ayatollah in 79. You've got the Wahhabis set up after the 1975 assassination of King Faisal, a truly great king. They assassinated him with his drugged up, cocaine, closet homosexual nephew. And then we got the current run of scumbags. 1979, you've got the Ayatollah. That's what they set them off. That's what the nuclear weapon's about. It's nothing to do with Israel. Saudi, it's used to threaten Saudi. They're getting all their stuff, all their uranium, all their machinery off Israel and the subsidiaries around the world, like the pages, and it's all compromised. That's why Israel knows everything that's going on in Iran, and the great President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad says that. Mossad's completely penetrated the whole country. That's why he's never allowed to run, because he's the only honest one left. And that's Iran. So you had the Ayatollah Khomeini, right? He'd been kicked out of Iraq, out of Najaf, and then he was sent up into Paris, France. So he came out of a Paris commune with a German intelligence film crew. All right? They survived on euros. Truck pallet loads of euros, not US dollars, euros. Now Iran's going to be drawn back, but Iran still serves its purpose. Remember, when the 2IC of Kissinger and Associates, good old, forgive me, my brain is really bad. I've been wearing my Bluetooth wireless again because I lost my damn wired headphones, and it affects my memory. But regardless, good old Paul Bremer, the Tsar of Iraq, he was the one that said, let's fire everyone. And the general said, you can't fire the Ba'ath Party. You'll create an insurgency. A lot of Iraqis are dying, a lot of American soldiers, and they did it anyway. Why? Because they wanted Iran to come into the region. They wanted to set up that Sunni Shia split, and then they would play off Iran coming into the region to get Saudi and the UAE to sign peace deals with Israel, which they did many years ago. That was Paul Bremer and Kissinger and Associates. That's why they did it. Soleimani was cooperating with US military for a decade. US military meaning Israel. Israel completely controls the whole thing, Hezbollah and Hamas. We know this. So once you understand Iran and who is controlling it, getting ready for that multipolar world order, all getting done. Remember, they're waiting for the technology. That's why they have to wait. Wait for the technology. So we can then bring in the tech. And they've been just out of whack. Their timetables have been ruined because of the interference of patriots within, particularly the United States, Great Britain, and even Europe as well. They don't want to live under this. Remember, this is not a war against the European people. We free America, you free the French people, you free the German people, you free the Saudi people, you will free the Israeli people. Get this parasite out completely, this born to rule parasite. These Brahmic masters who say you have no right to pursue happiness, we must crush 1776 and say the proper order is, as Julius Evola said, as Plato. There is a managerial class, and I must confess, I think there is a managerial class, and I agree with Plato, and it might be a few hundred years before we really get to that critical point of education where you educate a public, that their roles and responsibilities, that if you want to pursue happiness, freedom is not free. And we must have an engaged citizenry. That's going to take 50 years of a whole new education system to put that through. Right now, we have a bunch of psychiatrically medicated morons running around the United States. So Plato's Republic and the managerial class will have to continue. I'm sorry. You're going to have to get into a coffin and masturbate to be one of the rulers. It's just the way it is right now until you tell me the time when you think the general population, who is so easy to con. But I'm seeing good signs. I'm seeing a lot of stuff on YouTube now about psychological warfare, a lot of stuff about spying, counterintelligence. They're educating the public. You've got to immunize the body politic. You've got to immunize the population. Make them understand how the world works. And there are many positive signs. I'm seeing more and more shows popping up into my feed. You need to educate and immunize the local population. That's all it is. It's an information war, ultimately. Got to free the people. It's Age of Aquarius, baby. Pluto's in Aquarius. For the next 20 plus years, you're not going to stop the changes. The changes are going to happen. And they're going to happen and they're going to be good. Not if you're in Gaza. And not if you're in a dozen other places around the world. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best Kissinger here. Cold-hearted realpolitik. The US has got a rule, so you've got to like it, okay? There's going to be a whole new financial system. Once they set up all the basic foundations, there will be a central bank digital currency. It'll be a wonderful thing, or there will be a version of it. No matter what Trump says, there will be a version, and it will be in the hands of Congress. So you don't think they've got a bunch of these clowns running around going, You don't hear them say, take over the Fed, take over the Fed, take over the Fed, take over the system, do you? To end the Fed if they say it at all and just tell you, oh, central bank digital currency, what a wonderful thing that will be. You'll never get rid of cash, not yet anyway. It'll all be on my phone and I've only got one place to complain to, because let me tell you, if you knew the problems I've had with credit cards and this and that and stuff not working, all right, no central bank digital currency, my life has been miserable, okay? So don't tell me that suddenly it's going to come and we better watch out. It's already here. You just haven't felt it yet, but I felt it. They can take your bank account right now. I want it in the hands of the public. I want it in the hands of an elected government official. I want it in the hands of the executive and the Congress of the United States. I want it right there in one place. And that's where I go to complain, like I'm complaining now at the Department of Homeland Security. So don't tell me this bullshit, oh, the central bank digital currency, it's a wonderful thing. No one can even articulate to me why it's so bad. I know all about the distributed ledger technology and they want to link it in with all the AI stuff and all this stuff. Well, the point is you will have the option not to use that stuff, won't you? Just don't use it. But a central bank digital currency is vital. You have then total control. Total control. They already control you now. No one can actually tell me the difference between their life now with a debit card or a credit card. Tell me the freaking difference. Banks were routinely wiping out bank accounts. Why weren't you complaining? So what's the difference with the central bank digital currency? That's great. Oh, you're going to wipe out everyone's central bank and not give them any money? Great. They can start killing because everyone's armed, 300 million firearms. We don't live or die on a central bank digital currency. We live and die on who controls the AI and who controls the automated machines. And will you engage in politics to make sure that doesn't happen? I've seen very positive signs out of the Trump administration and from the mouth of Marco Rubio and Steve Bannon that they've got to set up all these different policy and public input on AI and automated killing machines. These are very positive signs. But you're going to have to make sure they do it. You're going to have to engage and talk about it and form groups and engage in politics like Mary Silver, Ann Dawn, Ann Lee, and a bunch of other people. Still visiting, still engaged in politics. Mary's constantly at Republican meetings. Are you at a Republican meeting? When's the last time you attended a Republican meeting? Let me guess, never. Oh, God. Oh, the Jews made me do it. It's the Jews. They made me watch porn. You're pathetic. Get down to, I'd say go to a Democrat meeting, but I don't think they exist anymore. But get down where the normal people are, well, reasonably normal people. Let's not go too far. And engage in politics. Talk to people. Tell them I'm worried about Elon Musk, the retarded idiot. Here's the common sense skeptic on YouTube. The guy's a fraud and he's got to go. No matter how many Fox News specials they do on Elon Musk saying, oh, Elon's a genius. I mean, that's like 5 a day. What a genius Musk is. They are so desperate, which just tells me that they're just not conning the Trump-tards anymore. The Trump-tards know he's a piece of shit, and they know it. And they will never convince him other. He's got to go soon. I can't see him lasting any more than 2-3 months max. Maybe tomorrow even. But they're keeping him well away from Tesla. I mean, imagine the audacity. Oh, he's a genius, and he's got 5 different companies, and apparently they're running perfectly well without him, or as they collapse without him. Again, we're going to see some positive things come over the next 12 months. So look, there you go, Marco Rubio, the new multipolar world order, which is just the unipolar Cold War 2.0. It's literally Cold War 2.0, literally, but under the complete control of US elites. They will distribute the technology and they're setting up they'll shake a fist, Putin will shake a fist, Xi will shake a fist, or so they might replace him, we'll wait and see. And they'll be shaking fists all over the world. Look at this dynamic, fake, 4-party system, multipolar world. It's not, it's one place. It'll be run out of Washington, DC, and that's a blessing, and that's a wonderful thing, no matter where you are in the world. Without freedom, you can't be a Wahhabist, you can't be a Christian, you can't be a Jew, you can't be a Muslim, you can't be a Buddhist, you can't be a communist, you can't be an atheist, you can't be anything without freedom. So whatever gives me more freedom, the better. But let's start a chunk at a time. Running a YouTube channel, all right, is a lot different to running a planet. We all got a freaking opinion, like assholes, everybody got one. But how do you maintain order, the flood of goods and services around the world, and consolidate power in the one country that is allowed to have it? Only America can have this power, this technological power, this nuclear power, this power. Only one country has the political document that will have it safely in the hands of the people, assuming the people will step up. If you don't step up, it's not going to fall in your lap. I hate to tell it to you. If you sit on your fat ass with a beer, I hate to break it to you, but you're not going to be able to pay a mortgage. You've got to get out there and take it. So start attending your public meetings, whether it's local council, school boards, state politics, or federal politics. There are ample opportunities. Don't even have to take a flyer, just go and talk and tell people, form relationships, start thinking 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ahead. Remember, they want to keep you in a point of anxiety where you cannot think more than 5 minutes ahead. That's their number one aim. There are so many positive things happening. I urge you to get into a positive frame of mind, because you're going to be very pissed when you sit there and jerk off and it's all over. I don't know what you're doing on my Patreon, but anyway, there you are. Shouldn't you have just got rid of all your electronic devices and built your bunker and got your beans? I respect that. What I don't respect is bullshit artists sitting there jerking off, not having a decent, intelligent conversation about why they disagree or agree. You can disagree with me, but you better have a narrative to back it up. Even if I think your narrative's stupid, that's fine by me. But don't give me just your whining, screaming bullshit, because I'm not your therapist. If you want to pay one, I know a great professional astrologer who's got all the healing therapies. I've been doing my healing. She's amazing. Great lady. 40 years experience, longer. We also need to talk about that. You got to get some healing, man. Seriously, all this anxiety and all this anger and frustration, you're going to be really pissed off when by 2033, we're all still here. I told you a year ago we'd still be here. We're still here. Sun's in the sky, wheat's in the fields, the eggs are affordable, just. Life's not bad? Okay, well, in another year after they told you it's all over and the BRICS is coming back and the US is being de-dollarized, we'll still be here and you'll be richer than ever. So you tell me what you want to do. Or do you want to sit there and bitch and whinge? Get involved. Man, I dream of being in America. Americans laugh at me. They laugh at me. They go, it's so sweet. They laugh, but it's kind of sweet. It's like, oh, it's so nostalgic, Brendan. We're finished. We're going to Civil War. It's over. It's a shithole. You'll last 3 months. Maybe so, but I really like to see it because America, you just don't get it. You don't get it. Freedom isn't free. So there you go. That's currently what's going on. I actually wanted it to be more focused on Iran and the things I saw, but I just got inundated with so much more information. I didn't know where to begin. IDF mobilizes troops, seals off Gaza. Oh, peace, peace. Yeah, another peace. Peace here, peace there. A solution for Gaza and Palestine in the context of the Belt and Road Initiative. Yeah, they're still talking about the Belt and Road. China's making a comeback. Oh, ye of little faith. There it is. There it is. The multipolar world is horsepucky. There is only one world. That is the United States. God bless the United States and all the military who, God willing, new military, who really do believe in that Constitution. And we've got people from all over the world pouring into the United States. May they be true freedom lovers. Real freedom lovers. May they be so happy to be in the United States and swear to die in their oath of allegiance to defend the US Constitution and the pursuit of happiness for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with the great F. Scott Fitzgerald and Bill Cooper. I watch the end all the time. It really helps me get through the day, and I'm sure you will too. Many good things are happening, just not in Gaza. So just thank every day that you're not in Gaza. The egg prices are coming down. The fuel price is going to come down. The doom and gloom. You're going to get to hang out with Canadians soon, America, and probably Mexicans. This is not NAFTA. This is something completely different. And I believe it's extremely positive, no matter what the naysayers tell you. I've been right about all this stuff for how many years now? I might get the timing wrong. How many things I've been right about? Crazy shit like Canada, like invading Israel. Wait and watch it unfold. It's not because I'm a genius or I have a special third eye into the future. This is how you apply power. So America will either collapse or it will apply its power. Once you understand that it's applying its power, it's pretty easy to see what's going to happen when there is nothing to stop them. The US is all powerful. Get on board the America train. Wrap yourself in the flag. Get involved. Get positive. Get happy. Get into local politics and start influencing it, and stop seeing the US Constitution as some motherhood statement. Wrap yourself in it, man, and sleep with it. That political, divinely inspired document, which says you have the right to be left alone by Brahman born to rule tyrants, to pursue happiness. The most amazing document ever written, bar one before that. Talk soon.
F. Scott Fitzgerald, quote, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. One should, for example, be able to see that things are hopeless and yet be determined to make them otherwise. This philosophy fitted on to my early adult life when I saw the improbable, the implausible, often the impossible, come true."
What is our common bond truly? Freedom. Freedom. Without freedom, you can't be a Christian no matter what denomination you belong to. You can't be a Buddhist. You can't own a donut shop. You can't drive from here to Oregon. You can't be an American because that's what it's all about, and it's the only thing that it's all about, nothing else. Nothing else. It's about freedom. Only freedom.